3 hours, that's all it took, 3 hours. From the moment Brenda Kellaway picked up her phone to call the cops on my family thinking she'd cornered us into joining her little HOA fiefdom to the moment her world came crashing down like something out of a bad movie. You know, some people really don't know when they're picking a fight with the wrong person. She figured I was just another quiet retiree, maybe a little slow, definitely out of place in her perfectly manicured kingdom. But what she didn't know was that I'd spent a lifetime spotting frauds exactly like her. And I was just about ready for a little action after 25 years in marine intelligence. Yeah, that happened. So let's rewind a sec, set the stage. It all started with my son Alex moving into Maple Heights, your classic slice of suburbia, where the lawns are neat, the mailboxes match, and gossip travels faster than the mailman's truck. We're unloading boxes trying to make a home when Brenda strides up our driveway like she's running for mayor. Clipboard in one hand, big military spouse strong t-shirt, American flag pin, the whole patriotic parade, and a smile that could probably break rocks. "Welcome to our community," she announces, practically shouting it for the neighbors to hear, and then launches into her well-rehearsed intro about her husband, Major William Kellaway, Purple Heart, 3 tours, Afghanistan, you name it. Every syllable was a performance, but if you've ever spent real time around the military, you know the real ones don't have to try so hard. See, she messed up immediately. 2nd Infantry Battalion Marines, she said. But the Marines don't have battalions numbered like that. That's Army talk. If you're a real military spouse, you don't make rookie mistakes like that. You know what I mean? I played it cool, just nodded and asked her what base her husband served at. That's when her mask slipped a little. She got cagey, started talking about classified missions, and dodged every specific. It's what people say when they don't actually know. And right then I knew I wasn't just dealing with a nosy neighbor. She kept up the pressure, dropping hints that joining the HOA was practically patriotic duty, leveraging her so-called military status to guilt trip us. Alex wanted to keep the peace, and little Lucy, my granddaughter, was already charmed, flashing a bracelet Brenda gave her, chattering about youth groups and military pride. But I knew a con when I saw one, so I told Brenda. Military families always read every contract before they sign. That's when she showed her real face, eyes hard, her voice low. Supporting our troops means supporting military families. Translation: play along or pay the price. That night, after everyone was asleep, I sat in Alex's study flipping through those HOA papers, but really I was going over every detail of that conversation. It didn't add up. I called an old friend, a favor from the old days, asked him to run Major William Kellaway through the database. The answer came fast: no record, no service, no Purple Heart, not even a hint of a military file. That's when it got real. Brenda wasn't just a pushy neighbor, she was a fraud, and that's a federal crime. Next morning I started quietly collecting evidence. Nothing shady, just keeping my eyes open, documenting every weird thing. I called the VA fraud hotline, reported my suspicions, and kept every reference number. I started snapping photos of veteran plates on cars that didn't add up, took screenshots of Brenda's online donation drives for military families, and jotted down every conversation where she mentioned her husband's service. Then one day I finally bumped into William. You ever see a guy who looks like he's hiding a secret that's eating him alive? That was him. He thanked me for my service, stammered a bit, wouldn't make eye contact, not like any real veteran I've ever met. I floated the idea that Lucy was working on a military history project. Maybe William could help. Brenda jumped in fast with stories about some fire base in Helmand Province that I knew didn't exist, more fake tales, more deflections. William always had an excuse not to talk. Then, just as I expected, the harassment started. Daily violation notices. My grass suddenly too long by a 1/4-inch mailbox, the wrong shade of blue, Lucy getting snubbed by neighbor kids for disrespecting military values. Alex wanted to cave in just to make it stop, but I couldn't. This wasn't about HOA dues, this was about protecting the honor of every veteran who ever actually earned those benefits. So I fought back my way, casual conversations with neighbors, quiet suggestions about how important it is that military benefits go to the right people. Never outright accusations, just enough to get Brenda on edge. Security cameras went up, every interaction and violation documented with timestamps and photos. I tracked anonymous complaints right back to their source. The more Brenda tried to push, the more evidence she handed me. By week 3, paranoia had set in. She called an emergency board meeting, I knew, because Mrs. Peterson, the local dog walker, couldn't keep a secret to save her life. Brenda was telling the board I was a security risk, maybe a federal investigator. The drama ramped up, the complaints kept coming, and now Brenda was even cornering Lucy to quiz her about my military questions. Finally, the showdown. It was a Tuesday, middle of the afternoon, and Brenda marched up our drive with 2 board members in tow, looking for all the world like a sheriff leading a posse. She accused me of harassing military families, demanded I stop my investigation. I could have argued, could have gotten loud, but I kept it calm. "Maybe we should sit down and discuss your husband's service record," I said. The blood drained from her face. Her act went from victim to angry defender to fake medical crisis in under a minute. "You're triggering my husband's PTSD," she shouted. She dialed 911, putting on the performance of her life, and for a second, even I wondered if I was pushing too hard. The neighbors sure bought it, but I was ready. When Officer Harris showed up, you could tell this wasn't his first rodeo. I invited him inside, showed him everything, documented violations, reference numbers, impossible stories, all of it. He ran the military records right there in his cruiser, my file clean and long. William Kellaway, nothing. Brenda scrambled, said they didn't keep those papers handy, started talking about privacy and PTSD, but Harris wasn't buying it. When he found out the VA was paying out $47,000 in benefits to William's spouse, well, you could feel the air go out of Brenda's balloon. Harris called in the feds on the spot. 3 hours after Brenda dialed 911, she was looking at the business end of a federal fraud investigation. As federal vehicles started pulling into the neighborhood, I sat on my porch with a cup of coffee and watched Brenda through her window, pacing, yelling into her phone, probably at William, as if any of it could be fixed now. Hour 2. The neighborhood was buzzing, news vans popping up at the entrance, the police scanner chatter going wild about a federal raid in sleepy Maple Heights. William came tearing up the drive face like a ghost. When the Fed showed up, it was all over search warrants for both the house and the HOA office. Agents found fake military papers, a counterfeit Purple Heart, and the kicker-doctored photos with William's face photoshopped onto real soldiers. William cracked, instantly confessed to everything said. Brenda started it all, threatened him, dragged him along, and he'd been terrified for years. Watching the neighbors was something else. Shock, anger, a little grief. Brenda had been their leader, their example, and it was all a lie. The HOA dissolved itself within days. Property values actually climbed, and for the first time, people started organizing real veteran events built on honesty, not manipulation. The story didn't end there. Brenda's crimes stretched across state lines, same scam, different towns, always targeting communities full of veterans. The case went federal, charges stacking up, stolen valor, wire fraud, identity theft, the works. She got 14 years, a lifetime ban from government benefits, and every cent had to be repaid. William, who was as much a victim as anyone, got probation, did community service at the VA, and slowly started rebuilding his life, maybe for the first time honest about who he was. Lucy took it to heart too, turned her school project about stolen valor into an award-winning presentation. The whole neighborhood changed. People learned to check credentials, respect real service, and support veterans without getting scammed. The feds even used our case in their training, so next time someone like Brenda comes around, they'll spot it faster. A year later, I got a call from the FBI. Turns out Brenda had picked our neighborhood on purpose, targeting places with lots of real veterans, planning to spread her fraud like wildfire. If we hadn't acted, it could have gone nationwide. Sometimes it only takes one person standing up, asking the right questions, refusing to back down when everyone else is too scared or too polite. That's what saved us. So here's the thing, you never really know your neighbors until someone like Brenda tries to run the show. Pick your heroes wisely, check the facts, and always stand up for the truth, even if it means being the bad guy for a little while. The right people will thank you later. If you've ever tangled with a neighborhood bully or watched a local hero get exposed, drop your story in the comments. Justice doesn't always move fast, but sometimes when it does, it's as sweet as you hope.